What's up, YouTube? It's your boy AP, and today we're breaking down the huge 3-hour patch notes announcement video that came out yesterday. A lot of us were anticipating some possible heavy-handed nerfs to Spark, and some of you guys were even selling off your gear in advance, hoping to make some profit after the notes when you buy it back. Well, good and bad news here. There are absolutely no nerfs to our build. In fact, there are no nerfs across the board for any build. However, this doesn't mean things won't change. GGG did say they were going to bug fix interactions that were not working correctly. So that makes me think of stuff like the self-triggering amulet that people were using to autobomb with Stormweaver. However, the variants that I've put out have no unintended mechanics, so we expect everything to be completely the same after the patch. I guess we will have to wait and see for the detailed patch notes because they really just spoke in broad terms here, but it really sounds like everything's good. Anyways, I've written some notes about all the major changes. Almost all of them are buffs. So I'll break down each of these bullet points to expand on what we can expect in the upcoming week. First up, maps are getting buffed. We're getting more loot, more mobs. We're getting a new tablet, which now adds bosses to the surrounding maps. They also stated that mob density is going to be consistent across the board for maps. The way it worked before was you'd get similar amounts of monsters in a small map rather than a large map. So that means the large maps felt sort of barren. Now the large maps are going to have way more monsters than the smaller maps, and they're just going to be jam-packed. So that might affect our strategies, and it might make some of the worst maps start to feel better. They did do a buff to the ritual mechanic, specifically a higher omen drop rate. I believe it's 60% higher now. The Audience of the King is still going to have the same drop rate, so the Ingenuity Belt's going to be just as hard to farm, but we're going to get slightly better omens. Next up, we are getting extra portals, however, not for normal maps, only for the pinnacle bosses. So as of the initial patch, it's going to be mostly for the final endgame boss. However, they are stating they want to add it for the ritual boss and possibly to the breach boss in coming future patches. Okay, a big thing that people wanted were replaceable sockets, and we are getting that. How that's going to work is you can override a current socket by clicking a new rune or soul core in there, and it's going to destroy what was already socketed and give you your new effect. So that's quite nice. Another complaint was people were having trouble finding citadels. So now we're going to see nice beacons of light through the fog of war, which will make it much easier to make sure we don't miss out on any citadels as we're exploring the map overworld. They also said I believe the Copper Citadel, the Act 2 boss, whichever one that is, was a lot harder than the other two, so they're nerfing that to make it a little bit more easy to beat. Another nice thing that I personally wanted was the ability to play with controller and keyboard at the same time. So they are adding this feature in. That means we can run through the map with the controller, and then as soon as we get back to our hideout, we can switch the mouse and keyboard to organize our stash and do all the inventory management. So that's something I'm looking forward to experiencing in the upcoming week when this patch gets deployed. They also confirmed that the hacking data breach was real. What was going on there was they used Steam support to socially engineer access to an employee account, and then I believe 66 accounts were compromised. So the whole Snube video about the data breach, he was correct. That's pretty crazy. I think that's under control now, so there's nothing we have to do to our own accounts to make sure that we're safe. It's good that they did address that. Okay. They also are working on an Atlas search feature. I'm not sure if this is coming as soon as the patch deploys, but I believe we will be getting it at some point within the coming weeks. Also, the ultimatum boss, the tornado bird, which just had the massive tornadoes, very hard to dodge. It was by far the hardest part of ultimatum. They are making that a little bit easier. They also confirmed we are not getting an auction house for our items. Okay, this is pretty much the TLDR of the video. There's obviously lots of small things, but this is what stood out the most for me. I do have a last note on my little sheet here, which says potential nerf to bleed immunity. Right now, the Spark build is completely bleed immune. Jonathan was asked a question regarding bleed, and he seemed to think that energy shield shouldn't block bleed. The way they explained it before the game came out was that you can only have a bleed debuff on you if your life gets hit. And that makes sense, right? Because why would you bleed if your mana or your energy shield is taking damage? Bleed is an effect on life. So this is potentially going to be a nerf to our build. I think Jonathan misunderstood the question, though, because it makes sense the way it is. But we'll have to wait and see. In worst case, probably just your energy shield will take bleed damage. I don't know. Something to keep in mind. Anyways, if you want to watch the full reaction to the 3-hour video, I do have a link in the pinned comment to my VODs channel. And yeah, I guess I'll boot up Twitch now and we'll start to blast and enjoy the Spark build, which is safe from any potential nerfs. All right, see you guys there. Peace.